Hey, community members, this is Melanie Marin here on the Fairfax School Board representing the Hunter Mill District. I thought I'd share with you just a bit about how lifelong my work has really been for public education. It actually started when I was in middle school, and where I grew up in New York, the budget was passed by vote, which is different than how it is here in Virginia, where the school board has no purse strings, is the term, but rather we're funded through the County Board of Supervisors. So here I was in middle school, and the school board was proposing to cut the budget. And this happened regularly on Long Island. And I wanted to do something, so I got a petition and got my friends to sign, and I spoke up at a school board meeting. When I came down to Washington, D.C. on a family trip, I just fell in love with D.C. I thought that there was so much good that could come out of people working together to help others, and just really seeing how, the American values could be put into reality all over the nation. So I knew I wanted to study politics and political science and public policy and history. So I went to the State University of New York at Albany in New York's capital, and I really tried to use every opportunity that I had. I was on the newspaper, I wrote on the crew team, I was in student government and helped to bring Maya Angelou in as a speaker in our community. I also got to study abroad, and I studied at Oxford University, where I studied history and literature, and again, took advantage of all those opportunities, again, rowing in crew, going to the debate society, and just getting to know people from all over Europe and all over America who were there, and then all over the world. And it really lit a fire in me for travel. So when I returned back to college, I said, you know what, I want to finish college as quickly as I can and get back out there and travel. So I did. And then I ended up backpacking through Australia and New Zealand. And this was at a time before cell phones, before 9/11. It was a really different world. But again, just showed me that I want to keep, those international interests in travel and connections. When I returned back, I was accepted into Duke University's Masters of Public Policy program. And I was actually one of the very few students who was accepted pretty much directly from college. They typically don't do that. So I was in this class and really honed my skills. And, this is one of the top public policy programs in the nation. And I credit my writing ability and my public policy making ability and knowledge to that program that I graduated from in 2022. And the program was really good about encouraging graduates to go into federal service. So I did take the Foreign Service exam and I passed, but it ended up not being what I wanted to do. And I received 2 job offers through what's called the Presidential Management Internship Program, or PMI. It used to be Presidential Management Fellow, or maybe it's reversed. Now it's Presidential Management Fellow. And I had 2 job offers. One was to work at the U.S. Department of Agriculture in the School and Nutrition Services Department to help manage the school lunch program. The other was at the U.S. Department of Education in the Office of Elementary and Secondary Ed in the Title I office, which is the program that serves our students most in need. And I just had to follow my heart, and I went to the U.S. Department of Education. I arrived there in 2002 when No Child Left Behind was being implemented, and I was in the heart of it. I was sent on trips around the country to monitor how states were implementing this brand new law, and I actually designed the rubric that we use to evaluate states in meeting all the tenets of the law. I also worked on early childhood educator professional development grants and ran a cohort of grantees for a number of years and ran that $15 million program. Again, getting to travel and see how education works throughout the country, getting to see amazing researchers that to this day, their work really sticks in my head about things like access to vocabulary. How often a child hears vocabulary will indicate how well they do in reading. And these are the things that our early childhood programs here are trying to, work on. So this stuff is remained, just one of my first loves. When I was eager to move on, I ended up at a small consulting group in Washington, D.C. that focused on public education advocacy through public engagement. And I was hired to spend half my time helping run this small business and half my time on client work. So I got to work with many of the top education associations as well as school districts and running conferences for an array of services, all related to K-12 learning, especially after school learning, and just again, really learn to write even more and edit and communicate and just get those skills for management and, managing personnel and budgets. So when it was time to start a family, though, with my husband, I decided to go off on my own and do consulting. So I did very similar work on my own for about 10 years. And I was ready to keep doing that until that work with IMFCPS really took over, my interest, and my work on my own consulting kind of faded away. And at the same time, my predecessor on the school board, Pat Hines, announced that she was not going to run again. So because the seat was open and the incumbent was not seeking reelection, I decided, yes, this is my opportunity. So I announced very early, like in 2018, for the 2019 election. And, in that interim too, since being in Fairfax in 2005, I've done lots of things here in the community, including being on the Minority Student Achievement Oversight Committee of the school board, and being a substitute teacher in Fairfax. Before I even had kids in the system, I just wanted to know what was going on in our schools. I spent a lot of time substitute teaching at Marshall Road Elementary in the Madison Pyramid. I also was on the leadership team of the Nova Outside Alliance for Outdoor Educators for many years with my colleague Elaine Tolan, who's on the Drainsville seat on the school board right now. And we did lots of regional and statewide advocacy around getting environmental education funded and supported in curriculum, and empowering teachers to get the resources they need. We're the only state in the Chesapeake Bay watershed area, other than West Virginia, that does not have a statewide environmental literacy plan still to this day. So that is something we are really behind on, and that is one of my passions. So when it came time to run, I did the work. I worked on campaigns and helped other people who were running, learned about it. I attended more school board meetings. I connected with other parents and residents and constituents. And I was very grateful that the public put their trust in me with over 70% of the vote in the November election in 2019. So I do think that I am most qualified for this position to continue being your school board member representing the Hunter Mill District. And not only that, to change the representation at this point in the community would really do a disservice to the constituents to have someone new who needs to come up to speed and who doesn't have the relationships already in place and the understandings of all the many moving parts of this very large school division and locally in our Hunter Mill District. So I am eager to continue to serve students, families, staff, and residents right here in Reston and Vienna and the little bits around it that I also represent. Thank you.